Unfortunately, I cannot.
Sorry?
I cannot share, unfortunately. I think you
There
would
will
have to
be
give me
there will be an option,
co-host.
at the bottom of your screen, share screen.
Yeah, I
I had
don't.
given the permission.
Uh, it still hasn't changed. I have whiteboards, apps, AI companion, summary, but I don't have share screen yet.
I think there will be an option in green color, share screen at the
Ah, now
bottom
it
of
works.
the.
Yep, there we
Yeah.
go. Now I have it. Perfect. Okay, awesome.
Awesome.
Um, so first of all, I want to say hello to everybody here. I see we have around 60 people, which is amazing. Namaste, namaskar, etc. Thank you very much for taking time out of your day to talk about Steinbeis University Schools of Next Practices here in Berlin, Germany. I want you guys to know, first of all, that it is an open session, so you will have the chat box at the bottom, etc. Please, if you have any questions, write them down into the chat. I'm super happy to answer them at the end. That way I can help you with any, open questions that you might have about studying in Germany, the university programs, etc. So without further ado, then I will share my screen here. Okay, and hopefully it should be visible, correct?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, wonderful. Cool. Give me 1 second, I'll have to change this here. Okay, perfect. So again, today I am coming to you from Steinbeis University Schools of Next Practices located in the capital city of Germany, which is Berlin. You will see on our website or through the text, etc., we are officially called Schools of Next Practices. It's a very long name, so we simply just go with S Next in general. So it's the same thing. Today we'll be talking about many different subjects. So first of all, I'll introduce you a little bit to the university. I will talk a little bit about Germany for those of you guys that might be, experienced in recruiting for other countries. Our location, we'll get into the programs, and of course, very important, the admission requirements and process. And finally, of course, you'll have my contact details, Goku's contact details, along with Raul's as well, in case you do have any questions that you forget to ask during the session. So first of all, why should one study at Steinbeis University or S Next? Important to know is that all of our programs are 100% taught in English, so we do not have any German language requirements. The students will not have to know any German word when they do study with us. We're an international university, so all of our students mainly are coming from countries around the world. I myself, for example, even our staff, I would say, is international. I myself am from the US originally. Our admissions team is from Portugal and Indonesia. Our job coaching team is from all over the world, etc. So we kind of understand on a personal level what students go through when they do move to Germany, and we can better help them through our own personal experiences. So again, all of our programs are completely taught in English. Campus language is English. So for students coming then from India, they wouldn't have many problems with assimilation and easily getting, the grasp of things when they do arrive. Nevertheless, however, we are located in Germany, right? And German is the language spoken here. We provide the students with free German language courses if they study on campus, and we always do encourage them to take these courses because while Berlin may be a very international city and English is very widely spoken here in Berlin, if a student does receive a job offer in a smaller city or maybe even a village, there having the German language courses and skills would be necessary, and it does open up a lot of career opportunities. So the students can always take these free German language classes. In general, they're able to advance one level per semester. So in the first semester, they can take A1, second semester A2, third semester B1, and then fourth semester B2, for example. Besides this, of course, students all, they're all around India today. It's a degree point in time almost always required, right? So there's many people with bachelor's degrees, many with master's degrees, and it's often not enough just to have a degree in order to enter the job market. So the way we teach is a little bit different. We take a practical approach to education, and our main goal in the end is not only to provide the students with a high quality educational degree, but also to give them, the experience and skills that they actually need to succeed in the German job market. This is done through our transfer model approach, where the students will actually be required to work with either German companies, come up with their own business ideas along with our career coaches, etc. That way, when they do graduate, their CV will be filled with very different, skills that they've already used in real world case studies, so to say. Important to know as well is that we are 100% German state approved, so we do give out German degrees in the end. There are many private universities here in Germany that will have an Italian degree, UK degree, and this can lead to problems later on when it comes to the stayback visa. Again, we do give out German degrees, so our students automatically will receive the stayback visa after they graduate. Another question that I'm sure you guys are asked very, very often is, okay, sounds good, but what about placements, right? On the one hand, it's great to study at a good university. However, it has to lead to something, right? And that's always a job. Being an international university, we found out, very early on that all of our students need help, transitioning from being a student into a full-time employee. And therefore, we created the Purpose Learning Journey, which you can see here. This is basically our placement program where we have career development support for all of our students. When the student arrives on campus, they'll have individual coaching sessions with our professional coaches, and we'll kind of, try and figure out what type of field they would like to go into, what skills they are missing, what skills they have, particularly can do well, etc. And based on their profile, they'll have an individual workshops and trainings in different areas, such as personal branding, how to use social media for, finding jobs. We help to prepare them for interviews if they have an upcoming interview. Salary negotiation, working contracts, for example, is very important here in Germany. And finally, of course, we help them all the way until they do successfully find employment, either before they graduate. So we always encourage the students to start applying, for jobs in their last semester. Otherwise, when they do graduate, we're always there by their side to help them along the way until they do find employment. So this is basically our placement program. Now we'll move on a bit to Germany. So I know for those of you guys who already work with German universities, etc., it might be a little bit boring, so I'm sorry. But for those of you that maybe don't have that much experience with Germany, I'll go over a couple of the quick facts here. So it's important to know that Germany currently has the strongest economy in Europe. In fact, at the moment, we are experiencing a hiring crisis where almost 900,000 jobs are not being filled simply because we do not have the specialized workers here in Germany in order to fill them. So that makes it very easy for students that do come here to study to, benefit from this fact with the stayback visa. As I mentioned before, we do have a German degree. We're 100% German state accredited. So all students that do graduate from Steinbeis or S Next will receive the 18-month work permit or study permit stayback visa. Again, we have the career support to help the students find a job very quickly. And when we talk into maybe further life goals, so say one of your students would like to settle long-term in Germany, after working only 2 years full-time in a full-time job here in Germany, you can apply for permanent residency. And after working 5 years full-time, having B1 level language skills, the students can already apply for citizenship if they do pass the integration test, which I personally did a little bit while ago, I think about 2 years back, and it's a relatively easy test to be honest. So students there that would like to settle long-term in Germany have a very quick, path to citizenship if they would like to. Another important thing is to know that Germany is, comparatively low cost in comparison to other countries, which I'll talk about in just a second. And we are based in the middle of Europe, right? So we always encourage our students to take the opportunity, get on a plane, go visit Italy, Spain, UK technically, which is not technically Europe anymore, etc., Ireland, Denmark, etc. So when it comes to transport or students that like to travel, that would like to gain international experiences, etc., Berlin is, a great place to be living. And actually, our train station here has the most connections European-wide than any other train station that there is. So students have the opportunity to go on adventures while they're also studying with us. So what about our campus? It's important to know that we are based in the capital of Berlin, or capital of Germany, which is Berlin. And I've lived everywhere in Germany before, cities like Hamburg, Cologne, Munich, Stuttgart, etc. And I can say I've lived here in Berlin since October, and it's a city that is very different from other German cities. So it's extremely international, English is widely spoken. In fact, it's not uncommon to go to a restaurant where the waiting staff only speaks English, for example. So students that do come to Germany or to come to Berlin won't have that many issues with settling down, etc. So there's many doctors here that that speak English. There's many, services that are in English, and it makes the transition period from, their home country to Germany a lot easier. Furthermore, when it comes to Berlin, it's known as a global startup and tech hub, and especially where we are located here in Adlershof, so that is the section of the city we're located in. It's referred to as the Silicon Valley of Germany. So there's many different opportunities for students to, gain their feet into startups or into, I would say, middle-sized companies within the city. We also have many large companies here. So if the students are aspiring to, work for a large company, maybe such as the German Railway, Deutsche Bahn, they also have their headquarters here. That's also possible, and they won't have to move after graduation. For those students who, and I would say actually, especially parents, they hear Berlin, they think, oh, very big city, although we only have 4 million people. So for you guys living in India there, a small village or maybe a small city is 4 million people. Here, in Germany, it's the largest city. For the parents that are kind of concerned that, students will be going abroad into such, a large city, it's important to know that Berlin is an extremely safe city and we have a lot of parks, greenery, nature, etc. So it's, for German standards, a very busy city. I think for Indian standards there, it would be almost too calm, so to say. So for students that are worried about getting lost or, not being able to find their way around, Berlin is relatively small and we have a really great public transport system. So for only 49 euros a month, we have what's called the Germany ticket. And that means that students can travel around the entire country of Germany, taking any modes of transport except for the long distance trains. So this includes subways, buses, trams, regional trains, etc. Finally, of course, when one thinks about capital cities, they often think about maybe London or Paris, etc. It's important to know that even though Berlin is the capital city of Germany, it's not actually the most expensive city. It is quite expensive. I believe it's the second most expensive city here in Germany. However, compared to other European capitals or the city of Munich, for example, rent is still quite affordable, especially on the outskirts of the city, and living costs tend to be a lot lower. And especially for those students who are thinking about going to the US and Canada, where I'm originally from, they also have to think about the fact that there you need a car, right? And a car means gas, it means insurance, it means buying the car, upkeep, etc. All of that is simply not a thing here because we do have the public transport, so students won't have to, worry about these extra costs. When it comes to our campus, we actually just moved to a new campus. It's extremely modern. It opened in February of this year. It is located here at the address if you'd like to take a screenshot, etc. Rudower Chaussee 28 12489 Berlin Adlershof, so to the south of the city. And as I mentioned before, we are located in what's called the Silicon Valley of Germany. So there's many different tech areas or tech companies that are situated here, media companies. And what is actually also very cool is that the Humboldt University, so one of Germany's or one of Berlin's public universities, is situated just across the street. The students will have access to their library, their cafeteria, etc. So they just simply have to cross the street if they'd like to go study things like this, or of course they can study with us in our classrooms or one of our many meeting areas. Okay, now we will get to the probably most interesting part for you guys. Thank you for bearing with me about the hard facts, and that is, what do we actually offer? First of all, important to know is that we do specialize in postgraduate degrees, right? So we only have master's and MBA degrees. Maybe in the future we will offer bachelor's. However, at the moment we specialize in master's programs. We will start first of all with our most popular study program, and that is the MA in Business and Organizational Psychology. This program is a 1.5-year program, so 18 months. It has 4 intakes a year, so January, April, July, and October. And this is, a common theme for all of our study programs, actually. It's important that if you have students that, have a delayed visa or there's some family issues, things like this, and they cannot start at their intended intake, they don't have to wait 6 months as a, usual university. They can simply shift to the next intake. So if they don't make it for April, for example, they simply come in July then. The MA in Business and Organizational Psychology is for those students that would like to go into consulting, HR, and these types of areas. As a private university that we do, offer these different services, we have to fund all of this, of course, the career support program, examination office, all these different things. We do have tuition fees for this particular program. It is 16,700 for the total program, and there will be a one-time 250 matriculation fee along with a 250 euro examination fee. Moving on, then we have something that we have actually just launched. These are, and it's actually very exciting, really. These will be our one-year MA program. So it's important to know that students in Germany can study one-year MA programs with us. This here, for example, and I would say this will be our most popular study program in the future. It might overtake the business and organizational psychology. We'll have to see. This here is the MA in Data Analytics and Artificial Intelligence. So I know there for you guys sitting maybe in South Bangalore, etc., this will be a very popular study program. It is a one-year program, 60 ECTS, so that's a European credit point system, and it will be starting in November of this year. So all of our one-year programs, we have just, got the final go ahead from the university. All of our one-year programs will be launching in November of this year. Next year, we will have an intake every 2 months. So that's January, March, May, July, September, and November. The name of it speaks for itself. So this program is specializing in data analytics and artificial intelligence, a program that we always encourage students to, look into because it's a very up and coming program, one with a lot of, job security, a high salary here in Europe as well. And when it comes to the study fees for this particular program, it is 12,900 for the total programs for the 1 year. Again, the matriculation fee and examination fee. And for all of our one-year master programs, depending on the student's background, their interview, etc., their English language skills, there are scholarships available of up to 10%. Moving on, we have the MA program in Digital Innovation and Business Transformation. Again, this is a one-year program, and this is more for students that would like to help, companies here in Germany or in Europe to, advance with technology, etc., to take the company through innovative means or solutions, transform it to be not maybe profitable, etc., or transform the way that they work so that it's more efficient. This program again is 1 year. Start date will be in 2024 November, so this definitely gives students that are interested enough time to apply, to avail their APS, to avail the visa, etc. In 2025, again, we have the intake every 2 months. Study fees are the same as the MA in Data Analytics and Artificial Intelligence. And again, here a scholarship is available up to 10%. Finally, our last one-year program, MA program, is the MA in Digital Marketing. And of course, today, when we think about Germany as a global power, even I, living here the past 13 years, have seen a huge change in the way that Germany has marketed itself. It used to be a very German-centric. Now companies are realizing that they have to be international. They have to have English-speaking staff, etc. It's not enough just to market your product only in Germany. This would be then for students who would like to go into the marketing area in an international way, especially. This program is 12 months long, so again, 1 year. Start is in November 2024. Same study fees as before, and the scholarship is also available for this program. When it comes to the requirements, I have a whole slide on that, so we'll get to that in just a second. Here we have the 2-year program. So this is our Master of Science in Business Management. And here it's kind of a mixture of two areas, right? So the students spend the first year focusing mainly on business and management topics, and they have the option to specialize in one of the 4 areas listed here. So here again, will be kind of familiar. There's data analytics and artificial intelligence, digital innovation and business transformation, digital marketing, and management and innovation. This study program goes over
ஃபாரினர் மாதிரி இருக்காரு ராகுல் ரெட்டின்னு
24
போட்டிருக்காரு.
months. Oh, I think somebody was talking there. It's all good. Or over 24 months. And we have an intake every 2 months. So that's again January, March, May, July, September, and November. The study fees for this program are 23,800 for the entire program, and there's a scholarship available up to 10% for this study program. Say, for example, you have any students that are interested in studying online. Please note that all of the study programs we talked about today, minus the MA program in Business and Organizational Psychology, can be studied online. I know that's not your usual target audience of students that do visit you. However, please note that we do offer these programs in an online format. When it comes to the study fees, they are a little bit lower, and we do have scholarships available for our online programs of up to 40%. Okay. Finally, moving on, we do have a Master's of Business Administration, or better well known as an MBA, so to say. When it comes to the MBA program, there are two formats. So we have the one-year MBA program for 12 months, and this is really a pure MBA that focuses on business and management. Again, here we have an intake of every 2 months, and the tuition fee total is 19,800, with a scholarship available of up to 30%. For the 1.5-year program, this is the general MBA program plus a specialization. And in this program, we offer 7 different areas. The new ones here would be HR and change management, sustainable management, and business and organizational psychology. The study fees for the 1.5-year program are 25,800. And again, for this, we have the scholarships available of up to 30%. As I mentioned before, all of this is also available online. So here we also have the MBA online. If you do have the odd student there that is interested, please let us know, and we'd be happy to help them with the online application along with explaining how our online format works. Okay, so now we will get on to the admission requirements. Important to know is that when it comes to the admission requirements here, we have the MSc in Business Management. Transnational, we can talk on a special case basis, the MBA and the MA in Business and Organizational Psychology. For the MSc in Business Management, students will have to have a English test here. So we accept IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, PTE, and proof of at least 3 years of studies at a native level if the student did study at the UK, Australia, Canada, etc. So for all of our programs, we do require students. MOI, unfortunately, is not enough. Our students do have one of these English proficiency exams. At the embassies there in India, in general, they only accept IELTS. So we do encourage the students to take the IELTS exam if they are coming from India. For the MSc in Business Management, the student needs a 3 or a 4-year bachelor's degree, and we do not require any work experience at all. When it comes to the MBA program, we have the same exact English proficiency requirements. However, it is a little bit different when it comes to the requirements academically, right? So for students that would like to do an MBA program, they have to have a minimum of a 3 or a 4 years bachelor degree, or we can even accept students with only a high school diploma to the MBA program. I know this is a bit strange, and we do sometimes have the case if a student only graduates with a high school diploma and say, for example, they have a family-owned business, they, started working there from the age of 18 onwards, and they would like to do an academic degree, then they can always take the MBA program. If they only have the high school diploma, they will have to have worked a minimum of 10 years. So I know that is quite a while. 10 years in a leadership team or project management work area, and they will have to take our entry test. If a student has a bachelor's degree of at least 3 or 4 years, they need at least 2 years of work experience in a team management, leadership role, and there is no entry test. For the MA in Business and Organizational Psychology, here we need the English proficiency exam, a 3 or 4 years bachelor degree, and no work experience is required. The one thing missing from my slide, so I do apologize, I changed it, but I guess it didn't save the changes, is the 1-year programs. When it comes to the 1-year MA programs, we do require a 4-year bachelor's degree in some type of related field, and no work experience is required. So it's important to know that students that would like to study the 1-year program do receive a visa for Germany if they have a 4-year bachelor's degree. We do take students from every single background. So say, for example, you have a student that had studied English or history, humanities, literature, etc. It doesn't matter. They can always apply to one of our study programs. They will be enrolled in the pre-master's program. For many universities, the pre-master program means an extra semester. With us, it is different. The student does the pre-master program while they start their studies normally. So they come to campus, they start their first semester of the MSc, MBA, MA, or the one-year master's programs, and they simply do the pre-master's program on the side. Also important to know is that there is no additional cost when it comes to the pre-master's program. We want to make sure that, a student can study whatever they would like to, no matter their academic background. So any student from any background can always apply, no matter what it is. Okay. I'm not sure how to get rid of the two red lines here, but that's okay. We'll move on then to the admission process here, right? So it's important to know that everything is done completely on our website. We have an entire digital application process form, which I will take you to right now in just a second. Takes a second to load when I share my screen. Is the screen still visible, hopefully?
Yes, visible.
Yes, it's
Ah, there we go. Now it's back. Sorry, I'm not sure why I was having some issues. Perfect. So this here, of course, is our website, right? www.steinbeis-next.de. So it's important to not forget the DE. That's just the German.com, basically. And here to the right, you can see the Apply Now button. So it's very easily findable. It takes you to the application form here. And this is what you would then fill out for the students. So about you is referring to the students, first name, last name, date of birth, gender, email, phone number, their address, which course they would like to take. So here, for example, I have the one-year master's program in data analytics, artificial intelligence, but all of them, of course, are available here as well. The intended intake, so when they would like to start. And extremely important is that you do not forget your voucher code. So this here is your voucher code. As you can see, if you want, you can take a screenshot. I also have it on the slide there with the admission requirements. With this voucher code, that means that we'll receive a notification in our system, and we always prioritize our partners' applications. So you have quicker response rates, etc. And when you do put in your email here, we make sure that we do write the student with you always in CC. So you receive updates directly from us all the time. That way you always know what is going on, what stage the student is in, and if there's any questions, queries, or doubts, you always receive the answer there as well. Here you will have to fill out a little bit of information about the student's educational background. Upload the documents, so you simply, choose them here from the form there. So here, for example, and once they are uploaded, tick the two boxes here and click on submit and you're good to go. So I upload applications all the time. In general, if you're good at it, takes no more than, I would say, 2 to 3 minutes, as long as all of the documents of the student are there. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, so what happens once we receive the application, right? We have a response time of about 48 hours. So that means that if you upload the application on Tuesday, you will hear from us latest on Thursday. I will admit in high time, so when we do receive a lot of applications, it can take up to 72 hours. However, we always prioritize our partner applications first, so that way you can always give the students updates. I know that once you do submit an application, 20 minutes later, the student is calling saying, "Dear sir, dear ma'am, is there an update," etc. They're always asking for updates constantly. So we want to make sure that you can provide this information to the student as quickly as possible. When the application is uploaded, we will evaluate the student's profile to make sure that they are eligible to study with us. And if this is the case, then we will invite them to an admission interview. During the admission interview, we ask this about the students, future career goals, their motivation to study in Germany, why they chose the particular program that they had chosen, why they want to study at SNext, etc. And of course, this is the first time that the student gets to meet somebody personally from the university. Important to know is that every student is given one study advisor throughout the entire process, and this is the person and the same person that will help them during their whole admissions process. We give the students our email address, WhatsApp number, telephone number, etc., so they can call anytime on WhatsApp, they can call, through phone or send us an email if they'd like to have an update, etc. Once our part, I would say, for the admission interview is over, the student has the chance to ask any open questions that they might have, which is also very important because it is a big decision, of course, to make when thinking about studying abroad. When the student has finished the admission interview, in general, then we send the offer letter, right? At the moment, it takes us about 2 to 3 days to send the offer letter, max 1 week, depending on the type of, or I would say the amount of interviews that we have at the moment. But right now, at the moment, it takes about 2 to 3 days, and we always try and make sure that we can send the offer letter out to partner students within 2 to 3 days. Once a student receives the offer letter, it's important to know that we do work with a deposit system. So we have to make sure we know how many students will be joining us for which semester. The deposit for students is 3,500 euros. And we do offer discounts. So if a student does make the deposit within 2 weeks of receiving their offer letter, they can benefit from having the early bird special. And that will be a 250 euro waiver basically off of the immatriculation fee. Once the deposit fee is made and confirmed by our finance team, we will have a second session with them, and this is the visa interview preparation session. During the session, we will ask the students kind of typical questions that the German embassy usually asks, such as, what are you studying? Where will you be living? How can you finance your studies? It's a mock interview. That way we prepare the student and we know that they're, going to receive the visa in the end, and there's a very low chance of visa rejection. When it comes to visa rejections, if a student does receive one from the German embassy, there are two options. Number one, the student can ask for a refund, of course, if the rejection is not based on any fault of the student themselves. We do have a 500 euro retention fee, so administration fee. The rest is definitely refunded. When it comes to then the other options, the student can also remonstrate. We help the students with all the documents with remonstration, and sometimes our students will do this. 99% of the cases, they are successful with their visa on the second time, during the second try. Once we are confident that the student will definitely receive their visa, we provide them with their tuition contract, their letter of acceptance, all the embassy documents. Hopefully they do have a visa appointment relatively soon. Hopefully they do have their APS by then. And after that, everything is basically done and set. We always are there for the student, if they have any questions all the way up into their visa session and until they receive their visa, really. And after that, we hope to see them in Berlin sometime soon. So again, here at the bottom, you can see your agent partner voucher code. Always, please do not forget to add it. Take a screenshot, write it down, etc. With this, code, again, I receive a notification. I always follow up personally with our partner applications and the admission team. That way things do go a little bit faster. Okay. So what about the documents that have to be submitted during the application? These here are the documents. So there's the degree, certificate, and mark sheets. And in general, in India, it's never an issue. They're always in English, so you don't really have to worry about it. If you do have a student that maybe did study in a different language or in a different country, please note that they do have to be translated and notarized versions in English. To this, we need the English proficiency certificate, so IELTS, PTE, etc., a copy of the CV or the student's resume, a digital photo for the student ID. If they're interested in the MBA program, their work experience certificate, and a copy of their passport. So here again, I encourage you to please take a screenshot or write down the following documents, so that way everything is there for the application form. And finally, very important, it is, of course, my job to make sure that you guys are successful. Same with Gokul, same with Raul, etc. So you can always reach us through the following emails. So if there's any questions, queries, doubts, you would like me to do a pre-check for a certain student, etc., you can always reach me at m.johnson@steinbeis-next.de. Otherwise, we have our student advisory email here, studentadvisory@steinbeis-next.de. Important to know is that we have our own India admissions email as well. Gokul takes care of that. That is india-admissions@steinbeis-next.de. Here is the link of our website here, of course, and here is the link to the application portal. Okay, so now I thank you first of all for your patience, Dhanyavad, and I'm happy to answer any questions, queries, doubts you might have about the university requirements, weather and food in Germany, etc. So whatever you would like to know. And I see there are already a couple of questions here as well. Okay, so the first question is only IELTS for Indians or is any English test acceptable? So we do accept many different English tests. If I go back here to the slide. Personally, the university, so Steinbeis University, accepts IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, PTE, Cambridge Advanced, and Proficiency, or if they studied at a foreign university in the UK, US, Australia, Canada, etc. These are all accepted versions of the English test. However, it's important to know that the German embassy in India often only accepts IELTS as the only test. So that's why when we talk to students, if they want to launch their application, they can do so with any of these. However, IELTS is the one that is usually mandatory at the German embassy there in India. If you do have a student who does not have an English test yet, we do offer conditional admission. So they will receive a conditional offer letter, a conditional, contract, etc., on the basis that they can provide this test with us before we do give them the letter of acceptance and the embassy documents. The same is true for students in their last semester of studies or their last year of studies. If they haven't completed their bachelor's degree, we do have conditional admission, with the condition being that they do provide us with their final degrees and transcripts before they receive the embassy documents. Okay. I see Raul is also answering the questions here. How can a student show funds? That's a very, very good question. So it is important to know that for students coming from India, they will have to open a blocked account. And this is basically how they prove their financial stability. A blocked account can be opened over many different banks. Deutsche Bank, for example, has it. We are partnered with a Fintiba. I'm not sure if you are aware of Fintiba. They are a partner. But over Fintiba, they can book a health insurance, open the blocked account. There's a lot of information for students moving from India to Germany, etc., on their website. The blocked account is also a requirement by the German embassy. The amount that has to be deposited in the blocked account is a bit more than 11,000 euros. And basically what a blocked account is that these 11,000 euros will be deposited in rates on the student's German bank account when they arrive in Germany. So they'll receive around 840 or 50 euros a month. And this is usually used for their living expenses, rent, health insurance, daily needs, etc. Please share PPT. Can definitely share it with you guys after the presentation, so I'll be very happy to. What is the maximum funds that a student can show in blocked account? So again, here it's a little over 11,000 euros, exactly 11,208 euros. Can I please send the contact number? Gokul already sent there. Perfect, thank you, Gokul.
Yes.
Gladly. What is the required percent of marks in 12th for getting admission in Germany? Yeah, so that's also a good question, and this is actually relating to bachelor's degree, right? We currently only offer master's degrees, so it's important that the student does have a bachelor's degree, or at least when it comes to our MBA program, if they would like to, take the MBA program, a minimum of 75% in their 12th, otherwise a minimum of 50% in their bachelor's degree for all of our programs. Is academic gaps accepted? Yeah, that's a question I also get very often. So we do accept academic gaps, especially during the COVID era that we had just had. We have many students, or I wouldn't say many, but quite a few students that, had to stop their studies For example, you guys in India did have the lockdown from one day to the next, so students were stuck all around the country. We see gaps quite often. For the academic gaps, we always ask in the interview what the student was doing during this time or, what exactly had happened, but otherwise it is no problem. What is the required percent of marks in UG for getting admission for master's and MBA? So again, the minimum requirement that we have is 50%. APS certificate. When does student have to get the APS? Does student get APS after starting process? Right, so the APS certificate is very important for the embassy, basically. So the embassy, the German embassy, needs this confirmation of APS in order to process the visa. APS can be started at any time, really. So it can be started before the admission procedure, during the admission procedure, and it's important to know that it can take a little bit of time, right? So we've had different experiences, honestly, with APS. Some students get within, just a week or two. Other students have waited for quite a while. It's important to know for you guys that I am in contact with the director of APS India. So if we have students who haven't received their APS 2 to 3 months in advance of their intended semester start, I get in contact with Thomas, is his name, Thomas Kaiser, with him, and I write him a list of the students that we expect to start in a certain semester. And usually he writes back, apologizes, says we're very, very busy, we'll start working on it. And within a week or two, most of the students on this list will have their APS confirmed. Only masters or any PhD programs that we offer. So unfortunately, at the moment, we do not offer any PhD places. It's only masters and MBA programs. What about accommodation? So this is also a very good question. When it comes to accommodation, we do not have our own hostels. Actually, for universities in Germany, it's very rare, I would say, to have, your own accommodation from the university. The accommodation, however, we do provide through our partners. So we're currently partnered with two very large accommodation providers. One is Spada Home, the other is the Sub. We encourage students to get in contact with them. They also have discounted rates for rooms. Otherwise, we always provide the students with the accommodation portals, so ones like ImmoScout, for example, or WG gesucht is what it's called. So shared flat search, I guess would be the translation for that. And we make sure to inform the students before they arrive during the pre-arrival session about how to find accommodation, what to look out for. There can be scams, so we train the students on how to look out for scams. And in general, students do have accommodation before they arrive. We always encourage them to start looking early because it can be a bit difficult here in Berlin. One tool that actually has proven to be really, really great was Facebook. We have a huge Indian expat community here in Berlin. So a lot of our students will actually connect to Indians already living here in Berlin. They'll say, hey, I'm looking for an apartment as of September 2024. Can you help? And most often than not, they can make connections through this, and they do definitely find accommodation this way. Can you elaborate on scholarships offered? Yes, definitely. So when it comes to the programs, and I will go back here, we do offer scholarships for the majority of our programs. First of all, important to know is for the MA in Business and Organizational Psychology, unfortunately, we do not offer a scholarship for this program. However, for the other ones, we definitely do. For the one-year programs, we have a scholarship available up to 10%, depending on the student's background and their performance during the admission interview and their English proficiency exam. There is no paper, there is no motivational paper the student has to write. It's only based on the student's background. If a student is interested in the scholarship, they simply tell their study advisor, and the study advisor will assess their profile based on their scholarship, or based on which type of scholarship or which amount they would be able to receive. Say, for example, we have a student that is applying for the MBA program, and they didn't have, I would say they had a mediocre or a middle, bachelor's degree or bachelor grade in the end. We still have scholarships available for them as well. However, the better a student does, then they receive max scholarship, and the lower the grade, the lower the scholarship goes down to. Okay, I hope that answers your question a bit. And if you do have any questions, you can always, of course, write it in the box there if you'd like me to explain a bit more. How many backlogs are accepted? So we do accept backlogs, and again, it really depends on the case, and every single student is different. We ask about the backlogs in the admission interview, so it's case by case basis. Okay, Raul had already answered that as well, up to 4. What about the health insurance? So that's also a very good question. Let me also go back to the slide here. When it comes to student health insurance, it's important to know that it costs around 90, I believe it's around 90 to 95 euros a month. And this covers really all costs. So any doctor's visits, any, visits to the hospital, hopefully, the student never has to go to the hospital, but any hospital visits, any services minus teeth, dentists somehow in Germany are extra. So, a student would have to get an extra teeth insurance basically. But the health insurance really covers all of these costs. If a student is sick, for example, they go to the doctors, there's no cost for the doctor visit, for any of the examinations, etc. If they do receive a prescription, then they go to the local pharmacy, and it's max 5 euros if a student receives a prescription. So for example, I went to the pharmacy yesterday, I had to pay 5 euros for my prescription, basically. So that's the max cost that you will really have as a student here. If a student is, however, over 30 years old, which sometimes is the case, please make note that they will have to take out a private health insurance. This tends to be a little bit more expensive in the long run, and the student will have to pay the fees up front, which is reimbursed by the insurance company. When it comes to students that do need this private health insurance, we talk to them individually and we make sure that we assist them in the process because it is a little bit more complicated than the normal student health insurance. Again, and as Raul had mentioned here, it can be, provided by Fintiva, Expatrio, etc. What about the internship, right? So when it comes to our students, we do not have a mandatory internship for the students. However, they can, of course, do internships during the summer breaks, etc. There's no problem with that at all. Otherwise, we do have the transfer project, and this is, again, where students will collaborate with German companies during their studies, or they come up with their own business ideas, things like this, which kind of counts as the internship. I know a lot of students there in India are required to do the internship there. Here with us, we, basically make up for that through the transfer project. Okay, is it mandatory for a student to learn German language before applying to the university? No, there is absolutely no German language requirement. Of course, we're happy if the student does, obtain the basic skills before they arrive. They can always do this over the Duolingo app or, take a course, etc. For the university, the campus life, or, interacting with the staff here, German is definitely not mandatory. And of course, we do provide the free German language courses to the students once they do arrive on campus. Also a very good question. So if a student pays the total fee, does he get a percentage? Yes, there is a 3% extra discount on the entire study fees if the total fee is paid up front. Also important to know is that students do have the option to either pay per semester or per year. I would, definitely get in contact with your local German embassy. I know, for example, if I'm not mistaken, there in Delhi, they only accept 1 year, payment plans, whereas maybe in Bangalore, it's, 1 semester, etc. So, but, from the university side, we do offer semester payments, yearly payments, and total payments. And for the total payment, there's an extra 3% discount. K3 education required or K12 also okay. So again, when it comes to, we don't offer bachelor programs. When it comes to the one MBA program, K12 is also accepted. What is the visa success rate for Indian students? So we have a very high visa success rate. In the last, I think, 4 or 5 intakes. So we do have an intake every 2 months. We haven't had any rejections. If there is a rejection, of course, we can either do the remonstration process where the student can go against the decision, and in 99% of the cases, the student does receive their visa, the second time. Otherwise, we do refund the student if the visa is rejected minus the 500 euro administration fee in general. So if the fault, as long as, the student didn't submit fake documents, etc., in those cases, there is no refund. However, if the student does have, complete documents, everything is truthful, etc., then everything minus the 500 euro administration fee is refunded. What is the average what is the average pay per hour during semester and vacation? Yes, that's also a very good question. So it's important to know that students here in Germany can work. So most of our students do have a part-time job. They work up to 20 hours a week. And during this time, they usually make around 500 to 550 euros a month. During the semester breaks, they can work full days if they would like to. It's in their visa stamp. It's either, I believe, 365 half days or 180 full days are allowed. We have a specific job here in Germany called a mini job that is, also thought of for students, and it's more flexible. So students with a mini job will simply, be able to, contact their employers, and they have more flexible working hours. So in general, around 500 to 550 euros is possibly legally here in Germany. Okay. What is the post-study work permit duration after any master's course? The post-study work permit or the stay-back visa is 18 months, so 1.5 years. In general, I would say around 90 to 95% of the students do find, full-time employment within 6 months of graduation. And we always tell the students, once you do find, full-time employment, you're very happy with the employer, you want to stay there long term, change that quickly into a working visa, because during this working visa, it does count towards permanent residency. Okay. Other questions? I'll give you guys a couple of seconds and I'll drink a bit of water because that's a lot of talking. What is VPD? Could you explain VPD? Okay. While you're explaining what VPD means, I apologize. I'm not sure what that is. I'll go to the next question, then I'll go back to yours. Can you please explain the total expense the student needs to show and the time period, including the tuition fee, living cost, etc., needed for an admit to the university, right? So again, the blocked account is one of the most important things before the students do arrive in Germany. It's 11,220 euros, I believe, is what I had mentioned above there. When it comes to the living cost, this really varies student by student, right? I would also even say about the really basically dependent on the apartment that the student has. So we have students, for example, that will share an apartment with friends. Here in Berlin, depending on the area, the room in the apartment can range between 350 euros all the way up to 600 euros. And when it comes to food expenses, insurance expenses, etc., this also ranges. So if a student goes out to a restaurant every day, they need more. If they, cook at home, etc., it's definitely cheaper. They need less. I always encourage the students that they should be prepared to spend around 750 to 950 euros a month on all of their expenses. So this includes the rent, health insurance, restaurant money, clothes shopping, things like this. Let me go back to the time period, including the tuition fee. When it comes to the tuition fee payments, it's important to know that the tuition fee will be invoiced from the university during the start of the semester, usually. The student does have 4 weeks to pay the tuition fee. If they do not pay the tuition fee within the 4 weeks, unfortunately, they will be exmatriculated. They do receive a warning after the 2-week mark. So we're always in touch with the students to make sure that we are following up with the tuition fee payments. Here is VPD is a document evaluation process that German universities use to assess the eligibility of foreign applicants for a master's degree program. So when it comes to the way that we definitely, assess the students, we call it HZB, and this is based on the German eligibility requirements. So again, for India, it is minimum 50% in the bachelor's, minimum of a 6.0 IELTS overall, and the work experience has to be related to the to management or leadership, I would say, for our MBA programs. But in general, when it comes to VPD, unfortunately, I'm not familiar if this is a special thing from APS. Could be, but for our, internal or for the University Steinbeis, we do the HZB, Bayerische Formel, maybe you've heard of as well for our own internal evaluation.
Thank you so much, Mikhail. And
Of
the
course,
information is really, really very interesting. And we received many information in detail for each and every step regarding admission, visa process, and all. Now we are hoping to get good number of applications, for upcoming intake.
Exactly. I very, very much hope so too. That would be wonderful. And
Yeah.
again, if I go back here really quick, just to repeat, it's important to know that for the majority of our programs, we do have an intake every 2 months. So if you do have students that didn't get admitted to a university and they, don't want to wait the 6 months, or, they're having some visa issues, etc., they can always, join us 2 months later. So please keep that in mind when you do talk to students.
Sure, Mikhail. And I request you to please share this presentation to us, so we can share.
Yes, definitely. I will share the presentation across to you guys or Raul's email, etc., and he can also forward. There's no problem at all.
Sure.
Sure.
Thanks a lot
No, thank you guys. Dhanyavada. I appreciate it.
so much. Nice day.
And
Thank
one
you,
last thing
Gokul
to
and
just
Rahul,
cover.
both of you.
Yeah, one last thing. I heard
Yes.
someone in between during the session that, hey, he looks like a foreigner, but the name is Rahul Reddy. It's my fault. I sent the link to Mike, so it's showing my name over there.
Yeah, I understand,
True.
of course, because you had registered and same link they had used. That's the reason.
Right.
Yes, yes. Thanks for the clarification.
Yes. I mean,
Thank
I always say, I kind of wish I lived in India. The food, amazing, culture, amazing, super friendly, great people. So maybe one day I'll retire to India. That's one thing maybe to warn your students about. German food is, it's nice. It can be nice, but Indian food, oof, like, so tell them to bring spices and things with them, because I think they'll find Indian food or the German food quite bland. Perfect.
Sure, Mikhail. You are also very much welcome. Whenever you come to India, please do visit Joint Campus.
Definitely, 100%. I've been to some of your offices a couple of years ago, actually. So I've met quite a few people from Joining Campus as well. I used to work for a couple other universities, so it'd be
Right.
nice to reconnect to some of the offices. That'd be
Sure,
wonderful.
of course. Be waiting for the same.
Right, perfect. So then from my side, thank you guys again so much. And if
Yeah.
there's anything you need, don't hesitate to reach out, and we're super happy to help.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Gokul,
guys.
Rahul,
Thank you, Mike.
all of you. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Mike.
Gladly.
Bye.
Thanks for
Thanks a lot,
attending.
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
Yeah, thanks, Amali. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.